Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we have about 11 minutes here, so this might feel like a bit of a
Let's
lightning
rapid
round.
fire. Let's do it.
Rapid fire like the bullfrog.
Yeah.
How would you assess the state of AI and autonomy inside the U.S. military as we're sitting here today?
Well, I would probably say that we are a little behind. All of our weapon systems need to be enhanced with some form of additional autonomy. Because if you think about it, taking a step back, in China, they are manufacturing drones at an unprecedented rate. And these things are incredibly lethal and incredibly cheap. And they fly very fast, and they can take out million-dollar pieces of artillery. They can crush tanks like never before. And it's a massive problem. And so we need an autonomy stack across different sorts of products to neutralize this threat. And I think right now, as you're seeing on the battlefield in Ukraine, there's really not a good solution for it yet. And so, we're one company, but a lot of us are all trying to figure this out right now.
When you say behind, are we talking China? Are we talking Russia? Are we talking North Korea? Or all three?
Well, Iran, Russia, China, these countries are all making drones, advanced drones. And from a manufacturing perspective, we're definitely behind on that. But on a software side of the house, which again, America's always led in software. That's one of our core strengths. We have great universities. But it's a matter of actually getting them procured. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of great technologies needing to be unlocked. And you're seeing the administration right now make a lot of big changes. You see the new task force for countering drones. A lot of big changes right now to help actually get this stuff onto the battlefield and into warfighters' hands.
Let's go that direction of that task force. What letter grade would you give the U.S. military for its drone defenses right now? And what does the task force need to be successful?
Right now, I give us a D. We're barely past. I guess is that passing? D?
I have only ever gotten so.
No, we don't actually, we're not doing well currently, but we have a path to do a lot better. And so you're seeing for the last 8 years or so, our country's invested in electronic warfare. So that's basically trying to zap the drones out of the sky, or jam the communication, jam the GPS of the drone. So electronic warfare is like a soft kill measure. The problem is, if you look at what's happening in Ukraine, Russia has a new version of the Iranian Shahed. You can't jam that anymore. It's really much harder to jam these now. And we've invested in some of the wrong things. And so you're starting to see a lot of the industry trying to change that and catch back up, because the soft kill measures aren't going to work that well for the next couple of years.
And with that task force that Secretary Hegseth announced, are you in talks with them? Have you consulted with them? And how would you like to help them achieve their goals?
Yeah, we're very excited at Allen Control Systems about the task force. We're in talks with them. They seem to have a lot of energy right now. They have budget and they have authority. The task force has a lot of teeth. So we think it's going to drive a lot of change, and we're really happy with what the administration has done.
Do you think the Army leading that task force was the right decision?
Definitely. Yeah, if you think about it, we need to make tanks great again, and the Army has a lot of tanks, and one of the ways to make them great again is to be able to let them counter drones. Because right now with the tanks, you're going to hit them with a drone. So we need some new solutions, and the Army heading it up actually makes a ton of sense.
And let's stay on counter drone. What do you think the U.S. needs to prevent a Tower 22 attack overseas again, or a Operation Spider's Web here domestically?
Take the overseas one first, maybe a little easier, because obviously Spider's Web is a very distributed attack, which would mean we need a lot of stuff in a lot of different places. On a base overseas, like Tower 22, we need a layered defense system. So of course we still need to have the electronic warfare, because hopefully maybe some of these drones are the older style that you can still jam. So layered defense with that, plus a kinetic solution like Bullfrog, which is our AI machine gun to shoot drones, and then maybe another sort of potentially other sort of soft kill solutions layered in with that, and then better tracking and better knowledge of the full battle space, the full airspace, because these things can come from anywhere, and so a lot of times our systems only look one direction, so we need better full bubble search over the sky.
How are you guys at ACS thinking through networking and kind of the tasking and queuing? Because it said in the video you guys are FADC2 Lattice ATAC enabled.
Yeah, I mean, the way it works as a government contractor is, we have a product like Bullfrog, And depending on which branch of service you're working with, could be the Marines, Army, Navy, they all use different what's called command and control software. One could come from one company like Northrop Grumman, one could come from Anduril, one could, the Marines have one that comes from not one of those primes. So the job is to make sure to integrate with whichever platform you're going on. And so there are many command and control softwares in the military, which means you have to hire a lot of engineers, basically.
With Bullfrog, there's a bunch of variants, right? Including M240, which is a reference to the very widely available machine gun out there, shoots 7.62 NATO.
Yeah.
Why did you go that route with such a widely available ammunition and weapon?
It's all about the cost curve. So the M240 is a widely available gun. The standard NATO ammunition, 7.62 round. We wanted to be able to use the cheapest ammo. If we make a robotic solution that's so precise and so fast and quick moving, you can use like really cheap bullets. That's like the innovation we've unlocked. And the drones, again, ranging from $1,000 to $10,000 for these small FPV drones. Interceptor missiles just really don't make any sense. And right now, what we're doing, we're invested in a lot of electronic warfare, like I mentioned. And then the other thing we invest in as a military is interceptors. The US military, we make some of the best interceptors in the world. But you can only, they're more expensive than the drone. And so that's just not going to be long-term sustainable.
To that point, right, you look at the Red Sea, you're seeing standard missiles taking down, multi-million-dollar standard missiles taking down $10,000, $100,000 Shaheds. What lessons have you pulled from that conflict? The Navy expended, I think, more than $1 billion in those exchanges. And how are you applying that to y'all's work?
I mean, the main lesson is that what's happened, what's changed, is that any country or clandestine group can now wage an effective war. It used to be expensive for a country to wage war. But now, with the advent, with the rise of the drone, it's very easy to be disruptive. So that's the main thing from a strategy perspective we're learning, which obviously isn't fun for our country. And then from just an operational standpoint, we're not going to let these Houthi drones hit our warships. So we'll take them out with what we have currently. And again, but we need to get our manufacturing built up to be able to buy those expensive artillery shells or interceptors, use those. But in the meantime, also invest in solutions like ours, which is going to be like a much cheaper way to do this long term.
So I've always seen Bullfrog in the back of a truck. It was in the back of a truck at Reindustrialize in Detroit. Do you foresee naval integration to the point about warships? Where else are you guys looking to put the turret?
So every mounted gun on every vehicle for pretty much every military, that's our NATO and our other close allies and all the US Army, Navy, Marine Corps, any mounted gun on any vehicle needs to be replaced with an AI version of itself in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a lot of vehicles, as you can imagine, because they all need to be able to shoot drones, because every vehicle is now in jeopardy. You can't go from point A to point B on the battlefield without potentially getting ambushed by FPVs laying in a cornfield.
They've strung up those massive overhead nets.
Yeah, I mean, the nets, that's kind of a solution, I guess. But what they do against those is they just send 3 drones. First one blows up the net, and then the next 2 come in and finish off the rest. So it's tough.
With Russia, Ukraine, particularly Russia, recently we saw those air incursions from Russian drones into Poland, into Romania, I believe. But the Poland one has been widely reported.
Yeah.
Scrambled F-35s, talk about cost curve.
Yeah.
What are your takeaways from that? Can NATO properly protect its airspace? And if not, how can it get there?
I mean, you're seeing Estonia, Poland, Romania, obviously Ukraine. These countries are all gearing up because they know that Russia will not stop. They're coming. And it's happening. In Estonia, they're digging trenches right now. So these countries are smart. They're buying stuff. I think Poland's buying tons of tanks right now to prevent a land invasion. They're scared and they know what's happening. And so I think NATO will step up. I think our administration expects them to step up. You're seeing that. And I think they are responding and doing it.
With the 5% spending, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you think the drone incursion was an accident, as some have said?
I think it was a warning shot across the bow, get ready.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect more of that to come? And are you guys getting ready for that?
Well, I'm trying to get the product out to the over there so that we can help out.
To Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine, and then all the surrounding countries as well.
And what do you attribute this explosion of physical AI to? Smart machinery, robotics, drones, especially that are jam-proof, so to speak?
Yeah, robotics is an incredible growth industry. I mean, as a kid, I'm an electrical engineer. I was making robots. My business partner, Luke Allen, he's been making robots since he was a kid. And now you're seeing that these things we were making as children are becoming massive businesses, and investors are pouring tons of money into this, not just in defense, but you see the humanoid robots, you're seeing all kinds of this stuff. It's really incredible to see, and it's because the robotics industry, now the servo motors, the gears, the joints, the software, it's all at this really advanced now that the robots are a lot more capable than when we were kids.
At any point, did you argue for it to be called Steve Control Systems?
No.
Allen Systems?
Well, my last name's Simone, and that's an Italian name, and Simone Control Systems doesn't sound very as good as I don't trust that control system. It's got to be Allen Control Systems. It's a much more American name.
What do you say to kind of the defense tech haters? A new Gallup poll found 48% of Americans oppose the development of AI-enabled weaponry.
Well, I'm not seeing that with the kids graduating. I mean, pretty much every top school that does robotics wants to be a part of what we're doing. So I'm not seeing it there. But I mean, on the national poll, I believe the polling numbers, I think that is maybe a little misguided. We're doing this to defend the country, to project power, so that our adversaries don't continue to encroach upon our territory.
We got a few seconds left here, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. Last September, I interviewed you. You were one of the first interviews for Future of Defense. And at the time, you said you were Palmer maxing. What does that mean to those who aren't hip enough, and are you still doing it?
No, I've moved to Alex Karp maxing. I'm trying to get the hair. It's not wild enough, but that's because they did it back there. But I wanted them to go.
Did you ask for the Alex Karp in the green room?
Yeah, they didn't do it for me though. But no, Palmer. No, I think look, we look up to these. They start Anduril, Palantir. These companies kind of helped pave the way for companies like ours. They've brought a lot of attention and investors here, and we thank them a lot.
Yeah, Steve, we're gonna have to leave it there.